Wow. I like it.
You got a smile on your face.
We've got the brand new 2021 Hoyt Ventum 30. I'm here with Joel Berm of Whitetail Fit.
What's up, guys?
And it's December 23rd. We're gonna get this bad boy set up for him for his mule deer and coos deer hunt. So this is the first look for us at this bow. They've got a lot of new features on it. They actually went to a binary cam system, which is something that Hoyt has never done, or at least I haven't seen it from Hoyt. They've always had that hybrid cam system, cam and a half system, with the split yokes on the top. And they went to the binary cam system, and from what we've heard, it should be quieter than some of their bows from the past. So really looking forward to getting it all set up, tuned up, and shoot some arrows through it. So let's do it.
Yeah.
You guys both good?
Yep.
Awesome. So first things first, we got to get a D-loop on it. So basically what we're going to do, we've got the bow in the press. I'm just going to put this level on the string real quick and see right there, level. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to knock the arrow on the string. We're going to line up the arrow so that the center of the arrow is directly down the middle of the burger button hole on the riser of this bow. So that's what we're going to use to set center shot. Obviously if you have a 90-degree tool, if you have a bow vise, levels, stuff like that for the string, for the bow, for the arrow, you can use that. But this is another way to do it. You don't have to have all that stuff to be able to do it. If you have access to a bow press, you can set up your own bow. You can do everything you need to do to make that process happen. Okay. That's right down the center right there. So we'll start with our top nock set. Joel, I've got white and black. Do you have a preference for nock set?
Let's go black.
I know, pretty bland colors.
Yeah. I've always liked black servings.
To get the job done.
And it doesn't get as dirty.
Yeah, that's totally true. So I always start with the top nock set. I'm going to put that right flush against that nock because when I nock the arrow on the string, I always put it against that top nock set on there because the bottom's actually going to have a gap on it. And we'll talk about why we put a gap on it just in a second. So like I said, we'll put it right against the top of the nock. Tighten it down pretty tight. So I did that on the top of the string, going down to the bottom. I actually wrap it twice, so once, twice. That way, as you pull this tight, those knots seat around that string a lot cleaner. That way you don't have kind of the rough edges of the nock set after you get done tying it. So the fourth knot, usually do about 6 knots for the top, and then make the bottom one slightly bigger just because of the position that you're pulling the string back on the bow from. Okay, that's 6. Cut about 1/4 inch ends right there. Just burn them down. Little torch lighter works pretty good. Okay, make sure that's See you're good. Make sure this is still lining up where we want it, which it is. We'll go to the bottom. We'll be tying the same knots, but we're gonna have a gap in it. Just a slight gap, nothing huge. Reason that we do this is because as you come to full draw, you've got the pinch from the string angle. So this bow is a 30-inch axle to axle. So if you've got a slightly longer draw, 28.5 or longer, that string's really going to pinch on that nock, and even at a shorter draw length. So what we do is we give a little bit of a gap on that bottom side, and I'll show you about how much here shortly. We do a little bit of a gap right there. That way we don't get any of that nock pinch on that arrow. It'll just help consistency with the setup. And as the servings and stuff kind of settle and as you shoot, everything's pulled to center. So starting with that gap will just hopefully eliminate that nock pinch altogether and provide the most accurate arrow flight once we get it all set up and tuned. So go to the bottom, same deal, 2 wraps, just overhand knots. And Mike, if you want to come in close here, you can kind of see this. The gap we're going to do is going to be just maybe a touch bigger than a 1/16 of an inch. Tighten that first knot down. Go to the bottom side, do the same thing. And I like to do about 8 knots for this bottom set, sometimes more if the axle to axle of the bow is short and the draw length is really long. But Joel, what was your draw length?
27 on the dot.
27. So with a 27-inch draw length on this 30-inch axle to axle bow, 8 knots should be about perfect, because we shouldn't have quite the nock pinch that we would if the string was at a tighter string angle.
Sure.
If it was at, say, a 30-inch draw with the 30-inch axle to axle. Okay, this is 8 right here. Trim those off about a 1/4 inch, and we'll burn them down. All right, simple as that. Those nock sets look pretty clean. So by double wrapping those knots right there, it wraps around the string as you tie it from the top and the bottom side, so you get a lot cleaner knot. It's not quite as boxy and doesn't have those rough edges that it would if you only wrapped that string once with your overhand knot. Onto the D-loop. Cut off a piece here. Start with it a little bit long. What we're going to do is we'll just mushroom down this one side. Slowly melt it down. I push it just against the lighter. That way we get kind of a nice bead on the end there. This is BCY number 23 material. It's what I prefer to use. A lot of shops and most people will be running the BCY number 24. It's a little bit thicker. The material's just as good. I just like that 23 stuff. It's a little bit smaller. Works a lot better for like handheld releases or releases that are going to twist that D-loop once you get to full draw. Just puts less twist and torque on the string, so maybe adds a little bit of forgiveness to it. And the material's really tough. I haven't had to replace a D-loop on a bow for the last 2 years, I guess, until I replaced the strings, so that's pretty good. Top knot. We'll always have that burnt end facing away from us. Right against that very top knock set. Pull it pretty tight. So you can see it sitting there, and it's on the back side of the bow, pointing on the side that your quiver would be on. That way this string, as it comes up, is on the left side of the string for a right-handed shooter. We'll come down at the bottom. We're tying the same knot, exact opposite. We're going to end up cutting this tag end off. We're going to have that burnt end facing us, or on the left side of the bow, with a quiver on the right side for a right-handed bow with a right-handed shooter. Again, the reason that we do this is shooting a handheld release, which you're shooting that true ball blade, right?
Yep.
So with that, or any handheld release for that matter, you're not anchoring flat against your face like this for the most part, like you would with a wrist strap. Generally, you're going to take your hand and you're going to rotate that out either 45 degrees or even higher, 90 degrees. And so what that does is it's twisting that D-loop. Well, when that D-loop comes on the left side of the string on the top and the right side of the string on the bottom, those knots tend to twist on the string rather than actually torquing the string of the bow and twisting the string of the bow, which can cause a lot of inconsistencies in the shot. So we're going to make the D-loop just a touch longer, about 3/4 of an inch. That'll help with a lot of that, but tying those knots that right way will help just as much. So take the arrow off. Got our Easton nock and D-loop pliers. Tighten that up. About where we want it. Make it just a bit. Okay. That look good for you?
Yep.
Sweet. Take my razor blade and cut off the knock end. Grab the burner, just gonna fluff that out. You can undo that knot, burn the end, and then tie the knot again, but this works just fine as long as you're not burning the string or the other part of the D-loop. Simple as that. Do I get to be the first person to draw back?
Go for it.
Kind of excited. Sweet.
As you can tell, we've got dueling cameras. Got Mike over here. They're filming this video as well for their channel, so if you guys want to get a little bit of a different perspective, you can go check their stuff out. I'll drop a link in the description for their channel. So
We got our scale, just a last chance archery scale. We're going to see what it's pulling at and kind of get the first feel for how the binary cam system draws on the Hoyt, the new Hoyt. Wow, that's a lot better than I thought it was
You
going
like
to be,
it?
honestly.
the smile on your face said it all, dude, as it was coming back.
Yeah, that's
What did you
72
draw at?
pounds too.
Right about at 72.
Yep. Yeah,
Sweet.
72 pounds. That felt pretty good, honestly. I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, I haven't even shot it yet, just drawn it back on the scale, but
It looked smooth.
You just want to do it again.
I do. Yeah, I get used to that.
How's it hold
Well, I mean,
without having a release on it? But
I feel like I could shoot it really well. Visually, I don't see any cam lean in the top or the bottom at full draw either, which is really good for a binary cam system bow with just the spacers right from the factory. So that's a huge plus, and will probably make tuning a lot easier too. So yeah,
no
pull the
pops,
same.
no squeaks. The thing was smooth.
Well, I hope not. Brand new bow. We better not have any
Man.
pops or squeaks.
I've heard some new bows make some pops and squeaks pulling back.
Well, let's grab your old bow and take some of the accessories off and get it kind of swapped over if you'd like. Actually, before we even do that, we can check the sync of it and just make sure the sync of the cams is good.
Is this a Josh Customs?
Oh, it is. It's pretty nice, ain't it? Check it out.
that.
It's about the cheapest draw board you can make,
Heck yeah.
which is about the most expensive part. But even got this ruler I cut it and put it on here so that it's perfect for ATA measured draw length. So we can check exactly what it's drawing at for you too. So essentially what we're doing, I've got the draw board here. We just put the D-loop on. What we're going to do is we're going to check the synchronization of these cams. Since this is a binary cam system, we're going to want to set it up so that the stops on the top and the bottom cam are coming around and hitting those cables at exactly the same time. So we're going to put it on the draw board, draw it back, we'll take a look, we'll see if we need to make any adjustments there, and go from there. Wow, that's very, very close. Yeah, that's like dead nuts perfect. So if you want to take a look, you can probably like kind of zoom in and see right there. There's just a very, very slight gap. It's hard to see on this side of it, but there's a very slight gap between that stop and this cable right here. Very, very slight. I mean, like a 32nd of an inch. And on the top cam right there, it's exactly the same. So those cams are the exact same cams. They're rotating at the exact same time. So they're in sync with each other. So that means as those cams are going to come forward, they're going to retract the actual bowstring itself and pull it in equally, and one cam won't be working harder than the other. So let me let this down and then I'll kind of explain what adjustments we would make if this was any hybrid or binary cam system bow or dual cam system bow. I'll talk about what adjustments you would make if you did have a gap or if one cam was slow or fast compared to the other.
Not too bad for right out of the box.
No, somebody must have done this special for you.
That's right.
So, back to the synchronization of the cams a little bit. These are in sync, but if, say for example, the top cam had a bigger gap than the bottom cam, and by bigger gap I mean that stop is further away from that cable, right? Essentially what we're doing is the top cam, if it has that gap, top cam is slow because it's not fully coming around and hitting that cable, or the bottom cam is fast, one of the two. With a new bow, new string, if you're replacing the string on your bow or whatever you're doing, I always like to add twist to the cables. I find it more predictable for the adjustment, and it's just kind of easier to work with. So there's a gap on top. Take this cable on the bottom side right here that connects to this peg, put it in the press, take it off a peg. Depending on the gap, you're gonna have to put twists in those cables basically to slow this bottom cam down to match the speed of the top cam. That way, as this stop right here comes around and touches that cable, it's going to synchronize up with this bottom cam. Now, on Hoyts in the past with their hybrid cam system, a half a twist in this cable would go a long ways, right? But with a binary cam system, it's kind of different for every bow, but you generally have to make more twists to get the same amount of adjustment for how much that stop moves or how much that cam position moves as you draw back with the synchronization of the cams. So, I mean, we don't have to adjust this one, so I guess I won't get to figure that out yet. But
Yeah, I like it. Do we start putting some accessories on it?
Let's do it. Sweet. I'm pretty impressed with that draw. I was honestly thinking it was going to be pretty horrendous, but
Feels good?
it feels good.
That's what I like to hear. It looked smooth. For what that's worth, it looks smooth.
I'm just really strong.
I thought it was
Just so
nice
strong,
too.
dude. I love it.
Alrighty. So, taking all the stuff off the RX4, I'm gonna pull all your arrows out if that's okay.
Yep, go for it. There
How we
should
get
be
them out of the way?
broadheads on it, so careful.
Okay. And then we'll we'll put the rest on first, kind of get all that taken care of, put the side on, and then we can mess with the stabilizers and all that later. So, ooh, rocking the severs, huh?
Might have a couple things in
Oh,
there.
rocking the kudu there.
Severs,
Got a little
kudos,
bleeder
we got a little
there.
something with everything in there.
Another sever. Do you have these strategically placed for like backup shots or follow-up shots, or
Yeah, exactly.
another sever?
It's what fits in the foam. Those severs fit a little bit better in a couple of the other slots.
Okay. Let's set this here with our top list. I just like running a small Allen key set like this. I don't really like the individual pieces unless I can't get to a certain screw, if it's hard to get to or something like that. But just having this multi-tool kit, that's almost all I use. It's just handy. I've got pretty much every Allen key I need for everything on this bow right here, other than the draw length or the poundage. That one's a little bit heavier, so I got a bigger set.
Right.
But just for you guys wondering, in case you think you need a full big Allen key set, you can just get the handheld wrench and it does the trick. I'm saving up for one of these integrated rests. I don't have one yet, but they seem pretty nice.
They're the adjustment, like the windage adjustment and stuff, when you're like walk back tuning, dude, it's nice.
Yeah, it's
Super
definitely
nice.
nice to have that micro adjust.
One click goes a long ways on them.
Let's just set this down. Couldn't tell if that was spinning in there or if it was
popping.
Yeah. So yeah, that's not good if that's happening. I'm just gonna cut your cord and give you a new one.
Yep, it's fine. It might not be long enough anyway.
No. Not for the speeds that the new one's putting out.
See, I went backwards with the lens. I like went to zoom
Oh, you
out and
did?
it's like, my Tamron lens is like backwards from everything.
Okay. We'll replace that cord in that first. On these it's really simple. There's just that set screw on the back side of the integrate rest, so I'll loosen that screw right there. Then I can pull that cord out and just put a longer one back through and tighten that bolt right in there back down. And yeah, super simple. Some of the other QADs, it's a little bit more difficult to do that. Gosh dang it. I need your camera light like right on my head so I can see what I'm doing. No kidding. So that D-loop just pulls right through just like that. So we can take the same BCY number 23 that we used earlier. We can use that for the rest cord. I always like cutting mine longer, that way I've got more to work with. And on a binary cam system, that cable actually travels further because they're both being wrapped around the cam, so it's going to pull down more than like a hybrid cam system bow would, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So I guess every cam's different. It's not like they're all the same, but okay, to thread that back through, I'm going to kind of make this skinny if I can. I'm just heating it up, just pulling it with my fingers, trying to make it stiffer. I will say the number 24 D-loop material is easier to do this part with. But let me see once. There we go, simple as that. Just cut that end off. Make a mushroom on this end. Kind of as a backup in case that screw comes loose for you. Pull that in. Okay. So I'm going to pull that tight before I even tighten that screw all the way down. Okay. Simple as that. Grab the new Ventum 30. Slap the rest on here.
Ventum. I think you said Ventum.
I did?
Yeah.
Ventum.
Ventum 30.
Okay, and with integrate rest, there's just a little line right there, so we can kind of start with that. I know the rest is dropped a little bit lower, but we'll line that up. We'll start with this as close as we can in the middle, and then adjust it as needed. Oops. Which is kind of the nice thing for the vertical adjustment on this integrate rest, because we've got our gang adjustment here, or like our big adjustment.
You got a baseline.
Right, and then you've got your micro adjustment with that dial. This piece back on with the bolt that I almost lost. Okay, we'll just thread that through that cable right there. This is the down cable here. Just for reference, it's almost always the one that's on the inside. If you're not sure if that's the down cable or if this is the down cable, you can just pull the string slightly and you can see that it's slowly pulling that downward. So that's the down cable. Toss it in the press quick, put that cable through. Just splitting that cable roughly right in the middle, going on the outside of this bar on the Hoyts, pulling it right up, and conveniently they did that serving all the way down to the bottom of the grip, which is pretty much a good starting point for all cable driven fall away rests. If you've got it higher up here, sometimes that rest doesn't actually fall fast enough. So if you're having problems with the cable driven fall away rest not falling fast enough, sometimes by moving that cable down lower on the actual cable itself will make that rest drop faster. I don't know why that is, but I've experimented with it and that seems to be the case. So there's also some other factors that kind of go into that also, but that's just one of them. Okay. Now I'm going to grab your arrow and just do kind of a rough center shot with it. So first I'm going to do the left and right. And the way I do that, kind of hard to explain, it's hard for you guys to see it, but I'm lining up the bowstring with the track of the bottom cam. Okay, I'm not lining the string up with the middle of the grip, not lining it up by going like this and moving the arrow between the limbs. I'm just lining it up with the track of the bottom cam. That for me has produced the closest results for tuning out of any of those other methods I mentioned, plus a few others, and even just measuring the center shot. Bows can tune with the arrow not perfectly in center shot, and they can walk back tune with the bows not perfectly in center shot. That will definitely be evident on this style of bow with the binary cam system, because now we don't have the yokes up top, right? So we don't have that adjustment there. We can only adjust those spacers on that top cam. So Joel, you said that they should be sending spacers with the bows.
Yeah, they got a spacer kit for the top and bottom cams, and then I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe in that owner's manual that this bow technically will tune, might tune outside of the center shot.
The only time when you would really have problems with it is if the rest is wanting to tune to the inside, because then your sight's too far to the right, if your right-handed shooter is too far to the right, and you can't see your full sight housing because it's too far to the inside. So if you are having those problems, you just got to shift the cam. You know, right and left-handed shooter, there's different ways, but you can see these top spacers. One side's obviously thicker than the other on there, so if we're having problems tuning it, you might have to adjust those. It's kind of a pain to get them to adjust. You got to put them in the press, pop the E-clips off, take the axle rod out, and swap those. But it can be done, which is still very important.
Sorry, I lost my battery. Your battery ran out? Yeah.
It's all right. Batteries die. How's your battery doing?
Good.
Gonna make it?
Oh yeah, three
Cool.
quarters.
Cool. Well, let me line this up quick. Looking down, I'm in track with the bottom cam right in the middle. Looking down the arrow, and it's like as perfect as can be. Like it's right there. And if I look down the middle of the grip, or it looks like it's slightly inside, but if I line up the string in the middle of the riser up top, pretty much right down the middle. If I go this method, maybe kick a little bit inside, but yeah, maybe just a little bit. But it's in line with the bottom track of the cam, so that's a good starting position. You've got plenty of clearance, fletching clearance with the cable guard and the riser there, so you're not going to get any kind of contact with that. As far as the vertical adjustment goes, it honestly looks pretty darn close to perfectly 90 degrees. I'll let you guys be the judge on that.
Yeah. Looks good.
Looks
It's
good
pretty
to me.
lucky. Just kind of took it off the old bowl, slapped it on there. It's lining up pretty good. Don't even have to make an adjustment. So it's a good place to start. Should we take your side off and toss that on?
Yep.
Cool. I like that side. I want to try one out.
Yeah. I really like them. I've shot those on my last couple of bows. I have that same side on my backup bow too. It's been a good one for me.
And the sight we're talking about is the Axel Carbon Pro. Is that what it is?
It's the Excel AccuTouch Carbon Pro. Yep.
AccuTouch Carbon Pro. And this sight should still have its second and third axes set and adjusted.
Yep.
So we won't be bothering with that with the new setup, unless we think that the riser is crooked, but hopefully that's not the case. Set this back down. Okay. So even though it's got that rail on that front, which I really like that inline mounting system, I think that's very, very cool. It still has these screw holes on the side of the riser for your everyday sight, or the sights that have been around for years. Gosh dang it, I don't know if they cleaned the paint out of their holes. You always got to be careful when you're tightening a metal steel screw into an aluminum riser anywhere, because if you get them wrong on the threads, it can mess some stuff up. I'll test this one quick. Seems tight on there. Nope, there's no paint there. They did clean them out, or they plugged them when they painted it. Let's take the other one off once and check it.
Run it through the riser.
Yep, just to double check. We'd hate to cross thread it on a brand new bow. Thanks. I'll use this screw. Seems straight. It's screwing in straight, so that's good.
There she
If
goes.
you know, if you are screwing a screw in and it feels like it's a little tight, but you're not sure if it's going in straight or if it's cross-threaded, don't just start tightening it down, because if it is cross-threaded, you can't fix it. Like, you'd have to retap the aluminum and put a different screw in, which is not an ideal situation. You probably end up running a bolt through your bow to get it to tighten down. But just a way to check, you know, just what we just did, you know, swapping screws or just taking the side off, running a bolt through it without actually putting the side on. And then if it wobbles at all as you're turning it with your fingers or with the Allen key, even a little bit, it's not going in there straight. So don't go any further, you're gonna mess it up. So just wanted to double check that. Before I tighten that one, I'm going to get this one down. Get them both kind of snug, kind of like tightening a tire. You don't just tighten that first bottom lug nut as tight as you can right away. You kind of get them all, and then you get them all firmed up. There we go. That should be good. Should we take your quiver off? You want that on there right away?
Sure.
Okay.
Might as well. If we're gonna paper tune with it, I might as well have it on there.
Absolutely. We're going to tune it with everything you want on it. And you're going to hunt with it. Hopefully it paper tunes like a dream, and we'll grab a bare shaft and do some bare shaft tuning too.
Yep.
We can at least get 20 in the shop here. So
Forgot to bring one, so we're gonna strip fletch on one.
gonna have to sacrifice an arrow, huh?
Sacrifice it.
Darn it.
We got more at home. We're good. Yeah, it just goes through as a peg and bolts to the backside. And this bow, I didn't bring the shorter peg, so this is gonna stick off further than it should.
Gotcha.
But I'll put the shorter pegs on it when I get back home.
Gotcha. Does it
Or
just
we
come?
can just run it without the quiver. I don't care.
You said with the 2-piece quiver from Hoyt, it comes with a long one and a short one. Just two. Gotcha. So like on this new bow with that inline sight and with the integrated rest, like you could run that short peg and have that quiver like really tight to your bow, which would be very streamlined. Which I mean, obviously, I kind of like running a big bulky setup, but I like the idea of having everything streamlined like that. Could run less back bar or side bar weight to kind of counterbalance all that weight on the side of the bow that you normally get with a sight that's mounted on the side like this. So.
Oh, I can take that off too. Got the bow.
I don't know how tight you got it on there.
It's tight.
Whitetail Fit tighten that on there.
Come on.
Are we going to be swapping over your wrist sling too on this bow?
It's a little short if you do. I like that wrist sling though. Huh? That was a Josh Customs.
Yeah.
Learned that from you. I actually really like it.
Yeah, it's
I
just
love
convenient.
shooting it like that.
Yeah. I've kind of gotten used to my nice padded one now, but maybe I'm getting soft. Woo! That was the screw I dropped, not the bow. Good thing it's a Hoyt. These things are built tough.
Oh yeah. Spike it. Give it a ground tune.
I ain't gonna do that. Maybe we can do that if this one's not tuned. Just kidding, just kidding.
I think it's the top one, right? Maybe not.
I just want your arrows backwards. It's gonna really suck it in there with that paint.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Should be like a hexagon, if you noticed.
Yeah.
Is that hole a hexagon or is it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, the 2-piece quivers are very, very solid. They've got a hexagon piece that fits into a hexagon cut out on the riser, which just makes it extremely solid. So we'll get her pretty tight on there. That way it kind of sucks it in. That's pretty solid.
Yeah, they don't go nowhere.
I ran that 2-piece quiver, on that VXR 28 that I shot this spring when Mike and I went out west and did that turkey hunt. And I liked it, but I really do like the fact of being able to take off my quiver too. I don't know, I just shoot a lot without it, and having that quiver on the bow, seems like the arrows, even with them really tight, maybe rattles, makes a little bit more noise, stuff like that. But
A little bit of vibration too.
Right, and kind of catches more wind with all the arrows and the fletchings and stuff on there as you're shooting. But with this new bow, with everything kind of being streamlined like it is, I do like the idea of running a 2-piece quiver and just having those arrows sit really, really close to that riser. So that's definitely
This
something.
one's a 6-arrow quiver, so like I say, I'm still waiting on some accessories for this bow. That's why I'm swapping all of them over from the Arcs for. But this bow, I'm gonna run a 4-arrow quiver on it. Just for that exact same reason, is just to keep that the bulk down and from the wind,
Right.
not to have it moving around quite so much.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, I would reconsider the 2-piece quiver on this bow if I was running all the streamlined stuff. With the new
Yeah,
sight
and you can
integrate.
tell those are the longer pegs. I need to swap the shorter pegs onto it. It'll suck that quiver up even tighter. It'll be alright for now though.
Sweet. How's it looking so far?
Looks like a dang bow. Looks good.
It's all good. Looking pretty good. Excited to shoot some arrows through it.
Looks like an Arizona mule deer killing rig. Or coos. We'll see what happens.
Shoot them all. Can I shoot it first?
Okay, go for it. Show us your feels.
First arrow.
First arrow. A little bit short for me, but I like that draw. That is definitely a lot quieter than last year's.
You can definitely tell standing away from it, hearing it.
Wow. I like it.
You got a smile on your face.
Yeah, it's definitely a big improvement from Hoyt, that's for sure. They needed to change something after the last few years, and this is a big change, and it's a good one. I mean, I've only shot it twice. But not much vibration at all, and a lot quieter. That's awesome. You guys want to let one rip?
Oh yeah.
I don't want to let you hold you back or
Yeah, go
anything
for it.
as I'm setting it up.
Yeah.
You better shoot it at your bow.
Alright. This thing should be adjusted pretty much right out my draw length at 27. You're a whiz with that D-loop, man. Those look good.
It's gotta be perfect.
That was my elbow. Did you hear my elbow?
Oh, dude. People be writing in the comments, did you hear that?
You
bow
hear that
pop?"
bow? Oh my gosh. No, it's just my old man elbows. Oh, that draw is nice. Dude, that's dead. Compared to the carbon of last year,
Yeah.
that is dead
It's
in
a
the
big
hand.
difference.
Holy cow, that feels good. Now I'm smiling. Dude, that feels really good. Wall feels great.
Man, that's awesome.
I'm gonna like this bow.
I'm definitely going to shoot some shots side by side next to my VXR and kind of
Mhm.
do a comparison between the two.
See
and
what it sounds. I want to shoot a couple more.
Sound like it.
Shoot one or two more and then get Mike in. You gotta shoot this thing. It like feels good in the hand too. Like you feel like you're holding on to just something quality.
Definitely not cheap.
No. That draw cycle is nice.
I really like it.
And the wall. That is so much more dead than the carbon of last year. Like, not even remotely comparable.
Yeah, it's completely
Like if you pick that bow up and shoot that bow and then shoot that, granted that one's 83 or 84 pounds, but you shoot that bow and then you shoot this bow, and it's like vibration wise and sound is not even comparable. I like that a lot. Micah, you gotta give this thing a shot.
Yeah, shoot it. And go grab my release.
Yeah. Grab this arrows.
Gosh, it's so fancy. I'm not sure if I can remember. Let's see. Hold on. Where's the blue here? Hold on. Oh, is it autofocus?
It's on auto, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you can tap the focus.
Oh, that is cool.
It's kinda all
Man,
over the
this is a
place.
fancy camera. All right, let her rip. Let's see what you think.
That feels fast. I'm not gonna lie.
This man looks natural shooting point.
Probably because I've done it for so long.
That's right.
Yeah. How long have you had your nitro, Micah?
I've had my Nitrum 30 for 6 years. Shot Hoyt for 10.
Mm-hmm. Dude, you're like me. What do you think of that draw cycle?
It's pretty nice. That does shoot nice. I do like that.
Yeah,
To be
that's-
honest.
The hand shock's not even there.
No, it is a lot different than
The
old
draw, yeah,
cams,
the draw
but
cycle.
Yeah, it's different, but I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like them both, but I like this one a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
It's got me excited. I can't wait to do some testing with it.
I'm gonna shoot 2 more, just for funsies.
See what all the speeds and everything are at. Because normally I shoot at a 27-inch draw.
Yeah.
That's why I shoot 80 pounds, because those bows, to get my heavy, I was shooting a 505 grain arrow out of that bow. To get it to go 280, I got to shoot 80 pounds or a turbo.
Yeah.
Right? Because my draw length is so short, and I want to shoot that heavy hitter arrow. So I'm excited to see what the speeds out of this thing is going to be.
Yeah,
You know?
no kidding.
What was that? 73?
It's
72.
72, yep.
72?
Yeah. It does feel fast though when you're shooting it.
Man, that back wall is solid.
Big upgrade there, that's for sure.
Mhm. Well, you got those 2 perfect points of contact now. You know, even points of contact too.
I think just those cables are that much more solid on a binary cam system bow.
Taut.
Yeah, relative to the hybrid cam system.
And it's that quiet with a 400. That's a 402 grain arrow. It's not like the
Yeah,
heaviest arrow in the world.
that's a big thing too, because
Yeah.
that's like one of the biggest factors for how quiet a bow is the arrow weight. So the fact that it's shooting that light of an arrow, that quiet.
That quiet, yeah. And we're in. Oh my gosh! Did you see that, dude? My whole rig about fell apart. We're also shooting indoors in a metal building.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like the camera, it might sound louder on the camera with a professional shotgun mic, but here indoors in a metal building, like that's super freaking quiet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm excited to get this thing like tuned and put a sight tape on it and hunt
man.
with it.
Yeah, man. And I mean, hearing any bow through a microphone,
Yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
there's like no way to know just how loud it is. Like you got to shoot it for yourself, because a microphone can be tuned up, tuned down. I mean, we're shooting in a shop. It's got insulated walls, but
Still
tin roof
metal,
ceiling
yeah.
and cement floor. What do you think?
I like
It
that.
just sounds solid. Dude.
I like
it
that a
sounds
lot.
like connection all the way through.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing lacking. It just sounds solid. I don't know how else to explain it.
It feels pretty fast too,
Yeah.
to be honest.
We'll have to put it through a chrono.
I'm gonna go spend like 3 hours in Shields.
Oh, I know it.
Sweet.
Go grab your. I want to hear your bow go off. Grab
Right
your
now?
VXR and shoot it.
All right.
Just so we've got like a comparison of. I mean, obviously it's all going to be different when we that hasn't got any bars on it either. And we were just thinking that bow doesn't even have any stabilizers on it.
Nah. I'm shooting your arrow. That way it's the same arrow
Yeah.
weight. But so this is the Matthews VXR. Just as a comparison. It creaks a little bit. I've been shooting it all season. Go ahead.
I'm gonna shoot this one.
Yeah, shoot the Hoyt.
All right.
Pretty
Think.
similar.
They're very, very similar.
Yeah.
And that bow doesn't have any bars on it either. At least for hand shock, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow. I like it.
It's pretty dang impressive so far. I see that look in your eye. Like, you have this look that's just like,
Every time he shoots a bow, he has that look.
oh yeah.
Oh, I love shooting bows. Yes.
I love bows. Cool, man.
Cool. Well, should we do some tuning?
Yep, let's get this thing tuned up.
Sweet.
And also throw a peep
Swap
sight in
it.
it and get
Get
myself
all lined
aligned.
up, just so I'm not torquing it. Just toss a little peep in there for you. Just gonna guess based off the watch here, and we'll adjust it.
You're pretty good at guessing. I found that out.
Not always. I get lucky.
Throw a peep sight in there. I pretty much always shoot the 3/16 peep. It's just a nice combination of a hunting peep and a target peep, and
Definitely.
aligning with the housing for me and my eyesight. I just really, really like that 3/16.
There's definitely a lot of factors that goes into what size of peep sight will be best for you. You know, axle to axle and the string angle is a huge factor, because if you're shooting like a 27 or 28 inch axle to axle bow and you've got a really long draw length and that string's really far out in front of you, like a lot of times a 3/16 peep is too small and you can't actually see that full ring around the sight. So a lot of guys will run like a 1/4 inch peep for that, but if you're to run that 1/4 inch peep in like the Ultra or a 33, 34, 35 inch axle to axle bow, that peep is so much closer to your eye and that hole will appear so much bigger that you'll actually have that gap around your sight housing. So kind of like what you said, Joel, that 3/16 lets in about the perfect amount of light. I mean, I've hunted with an 1/8 inch peep sight as well and had no issues with it, but get any smaller than that and you're gonna struggle seeing in low light situations, that's for sure. So, well, got our string split here. That Fuse and Hoyt were so nice to put in. That way I don't have to count their strands. What do you think about there?
Sure.
That's good, just shoot it. Down. Okay. We'll start with that. I'm going to slide this up out of the way. So on my bows, I definitely like to leave some kind of serving in the actual string. Yeah, and I just slide it up to the top. That way I can always kind of find middle, I guess. Do you want me to leave that in there for you?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. If I can get it out. And I trim it down typically. Otherwise it's just kind of like a fuzz ball right there. Okay.
Draw it back, see where I'm at.
Yeah, let's go for it. It's not gonna line up perfect for you, but go ahead and draw it back and try it out. I'll swap it out with your camera if you want.
Going on auto or manual?
Manual. Don't forget to hit record, don't forget to hit record.
Yeah. Double clutching.
Only hit it once.
It's a heavy rig with all that crap on it, dude.
Yeah, it is. So you're just rigging the mountains with you?
I need to get a smaller light. Yeah, I carry everything but the light in the mountain. That's like my rig. And it hangs off my, oh man, that's so heavy. You guys know about that life?
Been there.
Up just a hair.
Perfect. That'll fix the twist peak too.
Yeah, let's twist it a little bit. We'll see if it corrected. Whoop. Still up. Just a hair. One more hair. Money there.
You got her.
Twisted just a hair, but
Oh, we'll get her straightened out. Not terrible. I'll swap it.
yep.
Thank you. No problem. Okay. So I'm guessing this is going to be an easy to tune bow.
But so far it's been. But like I say, I don't know. I don't know if Evan had it in a press before sending it out to me, but I don't think so. I think he literally just adjusted the mods and that was it. Like put the new mod on it and everything.
So essentially what we're doing is just straighten out the peep. So this could be for anybody that's shooting their current bow, or you put a new string on your bow or anything like that. The peep's sitting a little bit crooked in the string. Super simple adjustment. All we're gonna do is take off the string on the bottom cam because it's a finer adjustment than off of the top cam because it's further away from the peep sight. So I just took it off the peg, and so I'm keeping track of that loop. Stretch it all the way out. Okay, so I've got it exactly how it attached onto the peg of the cam, and that peep sight is kind of twisted to the right a little bit. So all I've got to do is take that string and twist it, half a twist to the left, and it appears like it's lining up very close to that. So go back on the cam, kind of bend that string back around. Again, I'm keeping track of that loop of the string because I don't want it twisting on its own. I'm just putting it 1/2 twist to the left to bring that peep back straight, and putting it back on the cam. And then as we relieve the tension, right, that peep's sitting a lot straighter in the string, but now that D loop's way off. So all we do is just grab the string and rotate those knots to line up with that peep sight, and that should bring it back straight. So I'm just going to do a quick tie around on there just to hold it for now, and then we'll do a more permanent tie-in once we kind of do some tuning and some final adjustments for it. Okay, so this is actually how I've ran my peep sight the entire season because I haven't been committed to tying it in. And this is how it is. I just literally wrapped around the actual peep itself. I don't have a top or bottom knot on it. So it's not technically fully secure. With that said, I haven't had it move, and it's been through some tough stuff, some tough hunts. So I definitely do recommend, or I do recommend getting that fully tied in. But I'll show you what I'm going to do just for kind of a, in the meantime, tie in case we do have to adjust this a bit. So similar to the nock sets, I did a double wrap here, just double wrap overhand knot, okay? Put it in the track of the peep sight, pull it down, make sure you're not getting those strings crunched up, make sure they're kind of straightened out. Okay, right on top of the peep. Pull it tight and go to the bottom side, same deal. Double wrap, come around right in the groove of the peep, pull it tight. And I just do this a couple times, top and bottom. And like I said, that's what I've ran on this bow all year, and I haven't had any issues with it. But I do encourage you to tie your peep in a more secure way, and I'll show you that once we get this rig all tuned up and everything's where we want it. Peep sight height is such a vital part to accuracy. If it's a little bit high or a little bit low, especially with a slider sight, like that can make a big difference with accuracy. So it's just one of those little things, but all those little things do add up and make a difference for accuracy in the long run. So if we can get all of those little things and make them perfect, then shoot that much better. At least have that much more confidence,
I
right?
just got to thinking my rail is on 20, right?
Yeah.
Or on, I'm sorry, on 40.
It's on the top.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
So like I said, we'll do any adjustments before we fully tie it in. Pretty straightforward. Okay. What do you think? Tuning time?
Yep.
All right.
Let's do it.
Let's spit some through. Get the old fancy paper tuner.
Which one?
I'll use your release.
Uh-huh.
Thanks. Cool.
All right, we're just starting to get the bow paper tuned. So we've got everything tied in. Josh has tied in just temporarily tied in the peep. He's tied in the D-loop, knock sets, and checked everything else in terms of timing and cam synchronization. So everything else is bolted on aside from bars, stabilizers.
Right.
But we kind of want to test out this little system they got going on down here. So we're going to shoot it through paper and see what it does.
Yep. So I would also like to mention, if you're tuning your bow, you want to be the one shooting it. With that said, just to kind of speed things up a little bit, I'm going to shoot one through first. I am pretty confident that the tear is probably going to be pretty good right out of the box, just the way everything's lining up. But once I get it to tune good through paper, I'll give the bow to Joel, let him shoot, make any adjustments we need to do to get that arrow coming out straight for him. And then we'll also do some bare shaft tuning as well. So if we can get that all accomplished, you'll be shooting excellent for your trip down in Arizona. Okay. A little bit of a right tear right there. So we've got two options with the binary cam system. Option number one, we bump that rest to the outside, which we've got plenty of room to do that. Actually, it looks like your rest is kicked to the inside quite a little bit. Or what you could do is shift the cam over to the right, but we could only swap those bottom spacers because the thicker spacer's already on the left for the top cam. But just starting out, like I said, it looked like it might have been sitting a little bit inside when I eyeballed the rest. So that would confirm with that tear right there that we need to move that rest to the outside, and that should fix our tear. We probably won't have to mess with spacers at all, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Rest a little bit of the adjustment.
yep. And by the way, to read this tear right here, right, the point's going in on the left, the knock and the fletchings are coming out on the right. I mean, it's a right tear. That's what you would call that. So if you're reading how to fix tears and stuff like that, that's a right tear.
It's where the back end of the arrow enters.
Yep. So pretty simple. Okay, so I'll grab my handy dandy Allen wrench. Thank you, sir. Okay, and on the integrate rest, there's just a little tiny set screw right there. You can see that. So I'm gonna loosen that up. I'm gonna dial that to the left quite a bit, and we'll see if we can get that straightened out. just start with that. We'll probably move it all the way over, and I'll shoot a bolt hole with it, then I'll hand it to you and you'll get the exact opposite. Move it back.
There's a lot to do
That's
with
okay.
the shooter, hand torque, everything.
Yeah, hand torque is by far the biggest factor, at least for consistency with paper tuning. If you're struggling paper tuning and you're having a hard time getting that arrow to fly a bullet hole, or if you're getting inconsistent tears, number one is almost always the grip. Lots of factors go into that, but grip is definitely one of the biggest. Okay, so we move that rest to the left from our right tear from the first shot. We'll see if we're closer. A lot closer. Tear number 2. Kind of knocked our paper off there a little bit, didn't it? But you can
Way
see
closer though.
way closer. Point still to the left, tear is still to the right slightly, so I'll bump it out a little bit more. Same process. All right. Arrow number 3 through paper. Still kicking a little bit, about the same as the last one, honestly. We'll bump it some more. Grab the arrow quick. And the draw length is short on this bow for me by about 1.5 inches, so having my elbow kicked in a little bit, it's a little bit of a different pressure on that grip. So actually, before I make that adjustment,
When you shoot it?
actually I want to shoot it once just straight armed, so that my arm's forward, my release hand is forward on my face, just so it gets that straighter pressure. And then once I get it to bullet hole for me, then I'll have it. I'll have you shoot it, and we'll see if we. Usually we're pretty much right the same
we're pretty
anyway.
dang close.
So just want to check it. Okay, so that's straight arm, so obviously it's short for me. When I shoot, it's a little bit cleaner. It's still off to the right, just a little bit. So we need to move that rest to the left more. So now we'll kick it kind of outside. This is, if you see on the rest, when I flip this up on the bar right there, we're at 0 on the bar. Okay, so this is pretty much center for the rest, right? Not necessarily center shot for the bow, but it's center on the rest. So we've still got a lot of adjustment to move it to that outside. The only problems you're gonna have moving the rest out of center shot, kind of we already talked about it earlier, if it's to the inside, you might not be able to see your full sight housing. But if it's to the outside on some sites, you actually run out of a windage adjustment to move the sight far enough to the outside to compensate for the arrow. So it's not a super common problem, but one that you can run into. Wait, we didn't adjust it yet.
I was gonna say.
You're gonna be like, are you gonna adjust it?
Man, same tear
Man, that
again.
adjustment didn't do anything.
Yeah, what the heck? Oh, these Hoyts are just hard to tune, I guess. Okay. Rip one through. Arrow number 5. Thanks. 4th adjustment though. I'm getting about the same. Same tear. Boom, 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 boom. Obviously, since we moved it from the inside, it's got a lot closer, but it's getting about the same for me. Again, that might go back to the draw length being a little bit shorter and my arm kind of coming from that weird angle. I might have you shoot it a few shots and see what you're getting, because it might line up better for your grip and your arm and stuff. There's that bottom tear right there.
I might have pulled it a little bit too. Didn't feel amazing on my shot.
Still getting slight right tear.
This is does it matter at all, but this is leaning back a little bit. Should it be like that?
It's fine. Arrow goes through the paper the same. This is kind of our finagled paper tuning rig for the moment. Let's make an adjustment first.
Want to? Okay.
Yep. Did you roll left or right? Left. About the same, ain't we? We're gonna have to adjust some spacers over. So this was one of my concerns with the binary cam system that Hoyt was going to. You know, since they got rid of the yokes, you don't really have that ease of adjustability for kind of shifting the cams for the left and right variables. And since we're getting that right tear consistently, we've actually shot several times and made several adjustments, moving that rest to the outside. We still have a little bit of adjustment room there, so we're not quite done with that. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna shift the cams over, and the way we're gonna do that on this bow is by swapping the spacers, this time on the bottom cam. Because on the top cam are big spacers on the left, small spacers on the right, so that top cam's all the way over to the right. On the bottom cam are big spacers on the right, small spacers on the left. So if we swap those two, it'll shift that bottom cam even further to the right. Essentially, you know, by shifting that cam to the right, the whole string line and angle is further to the right of the bow. So even though the rest is in the same position, the way that that arrow's kicked out is still, you know, it's further with the adjustment we need to make to fix that tear. So I'm not expecting to just swap the spacers here and just have a perfect tear. But it should help us get closer when we start making that adjustment here at the rest again. So, I mean, the principle for swapping these out is pretty straightforward, but you cannot do it without a press. So if you're going to need to make this adjustment, or if you do need to make this adjustment, if you're sure you're not torquing your bow, stuff like that, you know, bring it to somebody with a press that knows how to do it, because can be easy to get frustrated with it or mess it up. So generally you have an E-clip tool, but all I've got is a flathead screwdriver, so we'll see how steady I am. Okay, so it just pops off. And you gotta have your finger on the outside of this at like all times, because that thing goes flying and it's like to the moon. Okay. Set that there. Now I gotta put it in the press. Very important on the press that it's pressing the limbs evenly, because what we're going to do is we're going to have to take that axle out under pressure, unless we want to take all the string and cables off, but we don't really want to do that. So I'm going to press this down. Okay. Now comes the fun part. So what I usually do is just take an Allen key and push it against the actual axle that's holding that cam on. So it's the axle, goes through one spacer, through the cam, through the other spacer, and then through the other limb, and you've got E-clips on both sides. So we've got to take that out completely to be able to swap those around. So I just push the Allen key all the way through it like this, pop the axle out. Must have got these in the right position because they popped out really smoothly. Okay, right there. Set these over here so I don't lose them. Okay, and now our Allen key is what's kind of holding everything on there. So basically, everything's going to kind of fall. If I can get that first one. It's not a good way to grab it.
Want me to hold underneath it?
Just keep your eyes peeled because it might travel across the floor. I can grab it with that. Maybe push it out with another Allen key. Maybe. Thanks. There it is.
Where?
Right next to Micah's feet. This is the fun part about swapping spacers.
Not
You-
losing the
you-
spacers.
You definitely don't want to lose these pieces. That's a bad day when you do.
Oh, there it
Here
goes.
I go losing it again. Got it. I tell you what though, this is a lot easier finding them on this clear cement than it is on that camo carpeting that they got at the Shields.
Oh, I'm sure.
Does bounce further though. Okay. So now I'm just gonna take the cam off. Oops, didn't mean to drop it. Okay, so this is the smaller spacer here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the bigger spacer. And if you zoom in on that, there's not a lot of difference between the two. But this one's bigger, this one's smaller. Okay, so essentially with that right tear, we've got to shift that cam to the right. So we're going to take the smaller spacer and we're going to put that on the right side of the cam, on the right side of the limb on the bottom cam. That way that cam is shifted over further to the right. So start with the big one, put it in on the left, on the Allen key. About like that. Okay, so I've got my Allen key through the limb, through the thick spacer on the left, now through the cam. Now I got to figure out how I can hold this little tiny thing in line with this to get it to line up. Oh,
I heard
there
it.
we go. Okay, so I always use the Allen key to kind of hold everything together, and then I use the actual axle to push it back through because the Allen key is smaller, so I can move it in and out easy. Generally, the axle is flush with the hole of the limbs and the cam, so it can be a little bit harder to push it through. So trying to line all that stuff up and push the axle through at the same time can be a little frustrating at times. So just a quick tip for you there. And that can be on any binary cam system bow. Any binary cam system bow that has spacers, I guess I should say. Okay, so we're up against the first spacer, so I'll use a little prying tool. Okay, I made it through the first spacer on the cam right now. Okay, pushing through the cam against the next spacer. Use our little tool. Kind of try to find the sweet spot. There it is. Pushed it all the way through. That was honestly one of the easiest spacer swaps I've done compared to a lot of the bows.
That's good.
Even on some of the, even the Redwork series and some of the bows in the past, because you have your yoke adjustment up top, but there's been times on the Defiance and stuff like that where I've had to move spacers on the bottom of the cam, and those were definitely harder than this one was. So I'm not sure if Hoyt did something there to make it easier for people to adjust now that they don't have the yoke system, or maybe we just got lucky.
Evan was saying it was supposed to be like pretty dang easy.
Yeah, I
So-
think it has something to do with the spacers, because I noticed the spacers were different than like all the spacers they previously used, or at least they're a different color, so I don't know if it's different material or what it is. Then putting the E-clip back on this back side here, if you guys want to come around and see. So this is the E-clip right here. Again, if you had an E-clip tool, you could just press it down. I just got a flathead screwdriver, so I've got to try to hold that, make sure it doesn't go anywhere as I press down on it. There. You can see it's seated all the way in on there perfectly. So if you look from this back side now, from right here, you can see that now the thick spacer's on the left, small spacer's on the right, so that bottom cam was shifted to the right. Is it going to fix the tear? No, probably not, but it's going to help us get a lot closer to it. So, starting point number 1. Perfect. Put the string back on and shoot some more through. Not too bad. First shot after the spacer swap. Not expecting a huge difference, but we may surprise ourselves. About the same. Well, we'll keep making our adjustments. Keep bumping it out.
I didn't go the wrong way the first time, did I?
Nope. Your arrow's 26.
Good question.
They might 27.
They might be 27.
So they should tune out up to 72 pounds, which is fine.
Okay, we were going left with it.
Yep.
How many do you think?
What do you say? Go ahead. More. More. Another one. Try it.
Does that clean up at full draw?
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, there's no gap there when you draw back. Yep. I think you might have caught the box on that one.
I think it did.
That looks a lot better. But you did definitely catch the box there.
I caught the box because I'm short. All your tears are up there.
Sorry. I guess we can move the box down lower. Can we lower the box? A little higher. Like higher on the bow. Maybe lower. There you go. Just the bottom up. Let's back up a little bit further and shoot and see if that tear's a little bit more pronounced. Shoot what I hit there.
Hit the box.
Did I hit the box?
Yep.
Man, look at that tear. Man, paper tuning the box. Because we got our rest meat out to the outside and our sight is still set.
Yeah, sight's
center compared to the other bow.
Well, this sight was already sucked pretty far to the right on that bow. That looks a lot better.
Yeah, it does. Maybe let's, since we got to that point, let's just shoot a bear shaft in it at the foam target here. Sure. At 20, yeah, or like 10.
Let's do the
Maybe
same shaft. I'll just strip the fletch off there.
Okay.
We're bear shaft tuning, and we just shot it at 10 yards, and it looked pretty dang good. Like, really, really close. The last tear we got out of it looked pretty close as well, so we're just stepping back, and we've got a couple arrows here that are fletched, and then I stripped off the fletching off of one of them. And what we're looking for, especially a distance like this, what is this, like 18 yards?
About where you're standing, yeah.
About 18.
17, 18.
So at this distance, we're looking to see if that bear shaft's going to be kicking up, down, left, right, or has anything weird with it going into shooting the exact same spot on that block target. And then If we need to make any adjustments from there, we can. Shoot one fletched first.
Wait for that same pink dot.
Yep.
Shot feel good?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Shoot one more fletch and then shoot bare shaft. Feel good?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go take a peek. Okay.
I wonder if this one hit something going in. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that's just the target since it's
Yeah.
lighter on the inside.
Because these two are pretty dang close.
I think we need to move the rest to the outside just a couple clicks more.
just a hair.
Yep, just because of the, you know, that bare shaft's kind of
Mhm.
swinging up and to the left, just a pinch. Let's just move it just a little bit and try that. Go ahead and shoot that bare shaft. If those last two felt good.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go take a peek. Looks like a right in there. I mean, we can't really get any better than that in
Mhm.
20 yards.
It's hard to because I think I hit the arrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I
Going
mean,
in.
that's, you look at them, that's,
Yeah.
you know, about as straight as you can get them.
I like it.
That's awesome.
Want to try it there?
Yeah. So we were making a bunch of adjustments with the rest, trying to fix that right tear. Ended up swapping that cam spacer on the bottom, shifting that bottom cam to the right. Brought it over a little bit, didn't fix it completely. We moved the rest out quite a ways to the outside. Finally got a good tear through paper. Backed up, and Joel was shooting some bare shafts down range, putting them right in there with his fletch shaft, shooting awesome. So all we did now is add that extra front stabilizer here that he's probably going to be running for down in Arizona. So we're just going to shoot some fletch shafts and shoot that bare shaft again and see how they impact down range here at 20 yards.
That even took the vibration down a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it made it a little bit quieter, too.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I noticed that.
That's crazy.
Let me try the bare shaft again.
Yeah.
Like it was noticeable hand shot,
Really.
and there was like no hand shot before.
That's crazy. And that's like, there's only 2 ounces on that stabilizer
yeah.
too, which is almost nothing. Feels good. Let's go check it out.
Oh, you can't get much better than that.
It's going in both equally straight. You want to shoot a couple more ends and just see if it's consistently to the right.
Sure.
Because if it is, we'll bump it to the rest back in just a pinch. So might have moved it out a little bit too much. First time we shot it, it was right in there, but
Yep.
I mean, I could have
Just trying to be picky
yeah,
for you.
oh yeah, for sure.
I could have moved the shot too.
Well, I'm liking how it holds and how it feels shooting. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That was a lot of those. I think the first one was just me.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's more similar to what we were seeing before.
I think I just wasn't lined up on my shot the last time.
Yeah. I mean, that's right in there.
Yeah.
Those are both good. I think she's set, man.
I do too. I like it.
I don't know if you can get much better than that.
I don't think so. I like it.
At least not at 20.
Should we tie in a peep?
You bet. Let's get that all fastened in. Bear shafts are shooting straight for Joel at 20 yards. Can't beat that. So what we're gonna do now, everything's kind of settled in, string's kind of settled in. Peep's twisting just a little bit, so we're gonna get that straightened out. But we're gonna do a more permanent tie-in on that. So I'm just gonna toss it back in the press quick. Take a razor blade and I'm gonna cut that previous knot off.
Sorry.
I was gonna say it's kind of nice having that working light you got there. I can see what I'm doing better. Obviously careful not to cut the strands of the string or my finger. Okay. Actually, I'm just gonna tie her in on the table. I'm gonna make that adjustment after I tie it in, because after you make all those knots and tie it on there, sometimes that string can kind of twist a little bit. So we'll get it set up so that the peep's coming back straight once it's fully tied in. It's kind of a nice table to work on, even though we've kind of got a mess here.
Yeah. It's working out good.
All right. So this is the way I like to tie my peep sights in, so that they're really secure. That way they don't move. When you're carrying it through the brush or up the mountain or whatever, you're not going to have that peep sight moving on you. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Requires a little bit more time, but on this, since the string is split further down, I'm just going to tie a half hitch knot about where I want that bottom knot to start. So right there. And then since that peep sight's kind of twisted to the left, I'm actually going to wrap around so that it almost brings it to the right. See how I pull that in like that? So starting from the bottom side, put just a few twists in it, pull it tight. I don't count, just until it looks good. Okay, we're gonna back serve. So back serving, essentially we're coming off the top of the string, go down to the bottom side of the string. We've made this loop, and I'm just gonna push this, wrap it around the string about 4 times, about like that. So now we've got a loop right here. We've got our tag end right here. So I lay that tag end back towards the knot, and I'm just gonna back serve, get rid of those twists that I put in, or those wraps that I put in. Just like that. So I got rid of all those back twists, and I'm just holding that with my finger, holding it right down so it comes together nice and clean for that knot right there. Okay, so first step. Next I'm going to thread this through the actual string itself. Not only does it make it look cool, but once I get up to the peep, it makes it very, very, very secure. So it's not all looks, but Okay, so now once we've got our wraps up to the peep sight, I'm actually going to put, instead of going through this bottom split, I'm going to go through the top split. Slide it down in that groove of the peep, just like that. I'm actually going to wrap this peep once, twice, 3 times, do 4. Okay, so now we're wrapped around the peep. I'm going to end up going down this left side on the top of the peep right there, but I've got to lock it in first. This is very important. This will make it very secure. I'm going to go back through this bottom side on the other side of the string, or the other strand. When I pull this through, it's almost like it's making a knot right there on that string, so that that peep sight can't move. You know, I'm pulling pretty hard, but I just pulled that strand right back under, so it's all nice and tight and clean on that peep sight there. And then since the string kind of naturally is going this way, I'm going to wrap down this side of the string right here. Okay, so once we've got enough wraps up top, basically doing that same knot we did on the bottom, just on the top part now. So we'll wrap that string, pull it tight. And then it's coming off the bottom, so we'll go to the top, do 4, come across, get rid of our wraps. Tighten it down. And we'll end up cutting those off, burning them, but as you can see, once we tied that knot, that peep even twisted more, which is why, you know, essentially we didn't want to adjust that string and make it come back straight before we tied it in.
Sure.
Because then we just have to do it twice. So, got our tags. Okay, and then back in the press we go. Okay. And again, we're just getting our peep sight straight, so this time peep sight's tilted to the left. So we take our bottom part of our bowstring off the cam, holding onto that loop the same way I took it off, extending it out the same way I took it off. If you look at it, that peep's on the left, so I'm going to twist it to the right, give it a full twist, put it back on the string, that way it's coming back straight. Put her on the tracks of the cam. That's good. Howdy!
How's it going?
Going good.
You got this thing tuned in yet?
Oh yeah. Shooting bear shafts, slapping them together with the fletched arrow 20, so can't beat that. We're just tied in the peep for real this time. We'll put those D-loop knots back straight, and it should be a shooter. It's a pretty nice bow. It draws back pretty good. It's a lot quieter than the last few years of Hoyt's, that's for sure. A lot less vibration, and
You need to shoot it with the bar on it now. See what you think about that.
I will.
Feels good.
Also, since we've got this tied in here, I can go ahead and finish that off.
Knock that off.
So, yes sir.
Sure is a pretty bow.
Does
Clean
look
up
good.
nice.
How's the chili?
That's wonderful. It's still warm on the stove.
Got some left over for us? That's good. Sounds cold out there. Perfect. It's not going anywhere. Unless you really yank it. Even then. That should be good. Yeah, I definitely want to shoot it with that front bar on now. See what it feels like. Well, this pretty much wraps it up for the Hoyt Ventum 30 bow build. This bow is definitely stepped up to some of the competitors out there. I mean, it's a lot quieter, a lot less vibration, and I was pretty surprised at how nice the draw was for how fast this speeds it seems to be putting out there. So it's definitely got me excited to shoot a few more of the new models that Hoyt's put out there and kind of compare them to some of the other brands that are competitors, I guess. But hopefully this rig gives you some luck when you head down to Arizona.
I'm hoping so too. It's going to be a fun trip, and man, I'm excited to put this bow through the pace. I shoot a lot, just like Josh and any of these guys, Micah. We go do these total archery challenges. We shoot target. I mean, it's a lot of fun putting arrows through a bow, and this bow in particular is going to be an experience because, I mean, it's dead in the hand, it's fast, it's quiet. I'm really, really excited to put it through its paces.
It's a shooter.
Oh yeah, big time.
If you guys haven't already, go check out Whitetail Fit's YouTube page. That's Joel here. So
Appreciate it.
he'll be getting some videos up from his Arizona trip and hopefully shoot a big old giant mule deer.
Man, we hope so. Appreciate
Awesome.
you guys working on the bow. Micah filming too. Appreciate y'all. So we'll see what we can't do with it. Cool.
Say something cool for the
Say
end.
something cool. Something cool.
I just thought we'd just go boom into the bow only logo and call
Oh
it good.
yeah, there you go. Roll out.
Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, hit that like button and subscribe, and go ahead and check out some more of our videos. We've got a few other bow builds and some other archery videos as well. So check them out, and thanks for watching.
Appreciate it.
Boom, now the logo.
Boom.